right? We're starting to see changes in the workplace. We're starting to see organizations think differently about what it means to be an employee, a manager, what it means to work. We're seeing new management structures come into play. But why? Right? Why are all these conversations starting to happen now? Why didn't they happen 20 years ago, 30 years ago? The reason is there are 5 trends that are shaping the future of work today. And so I want to briefly go through these 5 trends, which are new behaviors, technologies, the millennial workforce, mobility, and globalization. Let's start off with the first one, new behaviors. If I were to find anybody in this room 10 or 15 years ago and come up to you and say, you know what? One day, I'm going to know everything about you. I'll know your entire professional history. I'll know the people that you're connected with. I'm going to know who your friends are. I'll know the movies that you like. I'll know where you travel to. I know the restaurants that you go to. I'll even know what you're thinking. You would probably think that I'm absolutely out of my mind. But look at the world that we live in today. We have blogs. We have our entire professional history up on LinkedIn. We review places that we go to on Yelp. We put up pictures and information on Instagram and Facebook. We share thoughts and ideas on Twitter. Right? We live a very, very public life. This is a very new behavior. And this is something that is changing the way that we communicate, the way that we share, the way that we collaborate, the way that we purchase things. All of these new behaviors are making their way inside of our organizations. And organizations are trying to figure out what they should be doing to adapt as a result. So that's trend number 1, new behaviors.
Do you want to hear something really crazy? 96% of the people who watch videos on this channel are not subscribed. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. It'll literally take you 1 second, and you'll get notified when more videos just like this one are available. Now, let's get back to the content.
Trend number 2, technologies. A lot of these new behaviors that I'm talking about are enabled through amazing new technologies that we're seeing. Technologies like field glass, technologies like big data, like wearable devices like the one I have on my wrist. Cloud computing, collaboration platforms. Amazing new technologies are all over the place. And so organizations are trying to figure out, how do we take these technologies, bring them inside of our organization to empower and engage and enable our people? So that's the second trend, new technologies. The third trend is the millennial workforce, which most people would say, depending on the numbers, depending on the research report that you look at, people that are born between the early 80s, 81, 82, 83, all the way up until the late 90s. Curious, how many people in here are millennials? A couple? Okay, great, my people. I like that. Now, there's been a lot of discussion around millennials, but why? Right? Why are we so hung up on millennials? If you go to any major business publication, whether it be a print magazine or an online journal, you will find some discussion about millennials all over the place. It's inescapable. The reason why there's so much focus being placed on millennials is because they're supposed to be 50% of the workforce by 2020, 75% of the workforce by 2025. Now, it's not to say that millennials are aliens that came from another planet that are going to wreak havoc, right? I mean, they're not totally different. In fact, a study that SAP did with Oxford Economics actually proved that there are some similarities between millennials and other generations. And I always tell companies, if you were to get rid of every millennial within your company, you'd still have a lot of people that care about flexible work, doing meaningful work, having a good relationship with their coworkers. This isn't just a millennial thing. But the reason why there's so much emphasis being placed on millennials is because they're digital natives. They grew up and they have this ability and this power to share their voice unlike any other generation. And the fact that there are so many of them is really causing organizations to think differently about what it means to work. Because this is the new type of talent that they're trying to attract. Now, although millennials are similar to other generations, a lot of them do have differences, right? I mean, a lot of millennials don't know what it's like to commute an hour and a half to and from work, to sit in the cubicle, to use legacy technologies, to get 200 emails a day. And a lot of millennials just are not familiar with what that means. And so organizations are really trying to think about, how do we attract and retain this new type of a worker? And I think this is a good thing because it's forcing a lot of much needed change. The fourth trend is around mobility. A couple years ago, a college buddy of mine and myself, we went to go travel to China for fun, not work related. So we spent a month in China traveling all over the place. We went to all the major provinces, Beijing, Shanghai, Yunnan, etc. And one of the places that we went to in the Yunnan province, we decided to go look at some rice paddy fields. So we rented bikes, and we biked out into the middle of nowhere. I mean, literally, there's nobody around. You're just in the middle of nowhere, rice paddy fields, mountains everywhere, absolutely beautiful. And keep in mind, I'm in the Bay Area, which many people consider to be the tech and innovation hub of the world. And we're thousands of miles from the Bay Area, in the middle of nowhere, in a remote rice paddy field. And so we're looking around, just kind of enjoying, admiring the scenery, and I see a rice paddy farmer not too far away from me. And I look at the rice paddy farmer, he puts his hand into his pocket, and he takes out a smartphone. Now, here is somebody that is thousands of miles away from the Bay Area, in the middle of nowhere, that has access to the same people, the same information, and the same content that I do living in the Bay Area. That's what mobility is about. It doesn't matter where you are. As long as you can get connected to the web, you should be able to get your job done regardless of where you are and on any device. So that's the fourth trend that we're seeing is mobility. And the fifth and final trend is around globalization. The simplest way to explain globalization is this idea of living and operating in a world where boundaries of any kind do not exist. The world itself is just like a big city. In other words, the language that you speak, the culture that you subscribe to, the currency that you transact in, where you're physically located, all of these things are starting to matter less and less and less, especially when you think about the freelancer economy and the contingent workforce. I should know because I actually work with a lot of freelancers, and they're all over the place, all over the world. And a lot of organizations are thinking about this because they want to be able to tap into talent regardless of where they are. And globalization is a big impetus that's allowing that to happen. So these are the 5 trends shaping the future of work. But what is really keeping all of this together? All of these trends wouldn't be possible, and a lot of the changes that we're talking about when thinking about the future of work would not be possible without technology. I always like to say that technology is the central nervous system of the organization, and specifically collaboration platforms. Right? Collaboration technologies that allow our employees to be connected anywhere, anytime, and on any device.